No, yes, this mic works now. What's up, everybody? Give yourself a round of applause for coming. You are here at the BioShock Neighborhood panel. Thank you so much for coming. If you didn't know, I'm Greg Miller from IGN.com. If you do know me, So, ladies and gentlemen, we already have a late start here. Let's just get down to it. Please put your hands together for the stars of BioShock Neighborhood. That's your seat. You sit there.
It would have been an interesting panel if we'd just not known the entire time.
We're like such horses' ass.
Oh my god, look at these people.
So many people came to see you. And a little bit more. Real quick, show of hands, who hasn't beaten BioShock Infinite? Why would you come to this panel? This isn't one of those games. Yeah, we need to talk about that. But no, they should have known better.
Yeah.
They've had plenty of time.
I don't want any hate tweets.
It's been out. The DLC's been out. There's Let's Plays of it.
DLC's only been out for a month.
Oh, hush you.
You had your chance. When did you buy your MomoCon tickets? You knew you were coming to this.
Yeah, so spoiler. We're gonna talk about everything.
Yeah.
So let's start at ground zero.
Okay.
Troy and Courtney, how different is your life now based on when you started working on BioShock Infinite?
Oh my god.
Well, 3 years, so definitely a lot of changes.
We covered a lot of ground. 0.
Back then I was just this guy singing music,
Well,
doing
yeah.
voices, I don't know.
Courtney, my god, I think you have had the biggest arc. It kind of is, to me, is interesting because Elizabeth really has the biggest arc in the game.
Yeah.
There's more revealed about Booker, I guess, but it's interesting how much, to me at least, your character paralleled you starting off, because you started off like wide-eyed and, oh, you don't know anything about games? And then by the end of it, I mean, look where you're at, so I'd like to hear more about that. Would you guys like to hear more about that?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I was lucky to have a good teacher in Troy. He definitely took me under his wing, and we met on the plane to go to our callback. And I was like, can you tell me about video games as a whole? He's like, the whole industry? I'm like, like, we just don't know what's going on. And then just the way he talked about it just blew my mind. I just really fell in love with the industry, and working on a game like that for 3 years, you get to know everybody that you're working with so intimately, and it's really cool. And I feel, I don't know, like this whole world has been blown open, and that's pretty exciting. I think it is like really paralleling Liz, except I didn't get, spoiler alert, I didn't get vengeful and go on a killing spree yet, but yeah, it's really crazy. I can't believe how much knowledge I've accrued just about video games, and meeting all the fans in the last 3 years. It's been such a crazy ride. It's awesome.
I was like, this is my first game. I was like, well, you started off pretty good.
Was that step one to explain to her how big the BioShock
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. So you're not going to play Soldier A in Florp Returns. Because that's how most of us cut our teeth. But it was, it's so interesting. I mean, it was a very intense process. I mean, it just, if nothing else, just the download that we got every time from what fever dream Ken had at that specific moment of the stuff that we were going to record. We were learning about Columbia as we were going along, and there was a lot of stuff that Ken held back. So when I had done a few games before, but this was definitely, like, that whole time period was just this exponential, rocket ship, because we had Last of Us that was going, and we also had BioShock at the same time. We were going back and forth. So it was interesting to have knowledge of two really, even from the very beginning, when everybody knew they were Game of the Year contenders, and to kind of see how they were paralleling and how different they were, even through there. So I mean, where I'm at now is in some ways light years away from where I started, just because there's so much that has happened since then. And I've learned more about games in the process of development, and it was really cool that Kim was so open to the process with both of us, that he really took us in, and we got to see the dirty underbelly of making a game. And it's not pretty, it's men die. There were people lost in the churches, you know, and it's just, but I think anytime you make something that's really good, there's always casualties, whether it be, you know, people leave, or you know, developer shuts down, or you know, different things. But it's hard, and anything that is good requires that much effort.
I think it's just risk taking. I think that's what we always knew the whole time, that we were taking such a big risk with creating these characters and whether they would even work. And I mean, it just Elizabeth from a technical standpoint, whether she would even work, and whether people would fall in love with and feel connected to our characters. And I think that's one of the things when we first started talking about the franchise and the way that Short was explaining it, I realized from a very early on point that Irrational was trying to do something very different and groundbreaking, and that is why I fell in love with the project. And I really appreciated that they took risks, because I think without that, there's not as much reward, and the game would not be nearly as, in my personal opinion, phenomenal as it was. Phenom.
So then, are you anxious to do another game, Courtnee? I mean,
oh yeah.
But it'll never be the same. You'll never be the same. You came out here, you hit a grand slam. The rest are just gonna be ground roll doubles. These are baseball puns.
I still need the Troy's advice all the time, so that's not the same. But yeah, I would love to do more games. Yeah, and then the fact that games are becoming so hugely narrative driven is really making me fall in love even more with the industry. So yeah, if I was given the opportunity, I'd love to do that. And I'm trying to make that happen, for sure.
So Troy, you mentioned a fever dream for Ken and coming in. At what point did you guys just have to get into this guy is insane, but I hang on him now for a paycheck, and I will do. I mean, like, did he come in all the time? I mean, Ken's awesome, don't get me wrong, but even just talking to him on a normal friend basis. I can't imagine.
Yeah, there's so much energy that he has, and it's truly, his mind is operating on a completely different level. And this was his brainchild. This was something that was incredibly personal to him. And I don't want to speak for him, but I mean, this is just stuff that he shared with us. I mean, BioShock was such a watershed moment for games, and it's still, as soon as it came out, people knew that this was going to be one of those games that, for decades afterwards, people were still going to talk about it. Like Shadow of the Colossus and stuff like that. Those are, they're
one guy's played Shadow of the Colossus.
There are those games that people still talk about, and the developers that we have in place today are looking back to those games and going, I remember how I felt when I first played this game. I want to make a game like that, but using the tools and skill sets that we have now. And I think BioShock is another game like that for this generation of developers. And are you watching YouTube over there? What's happening?
What's happening? Hey, security on the side.
It's really cool.
What are you guys watching?
The only reason why I ask is because I'm so ADD that I'm going.
I keep hearing
Oh, there's people outside. They're kicking them out now.
Well, we're gonna shoot them. No, come on in. Okay. What's candy? Candy? But you can see Ken's mind working, and it's like he was so passionate about what he was telling. He's like, okay, so this is the point where it has this, and everything had its own individual conceit. Everything had its own idea that it was the coolest thing ever. And you always have to sacrifice a darling in everything that you do. At some point, you have to go, I'm going to have to lay this on the altar because I simply can't do this. We can't have everything in this game that we originally conceived come to fruition. Everything can't be executed. And that became the joke. The reason why it's called Infinite is because that's how long it was going to be delayed for. Just BioShock indefinitely. But yeah, I mean, you sit and marvel at when he comes up with this idea, and you can see there's a term that we came up with that backstory is masturbatory, Backstory only exists from the narrative standpoint for the character that's presenting it. You don't even know the backstory. There's so much backstory that you don't know about Booker that you didn't need to know about. It's only information for me, and sometimes I didn't even need that. I was like, I don't want to know that because it's just going to taint the performance. And it was very Stanislavski, very Meisner about his process and how, in some ways, like Woody Allen doesn't give you, if you're in his movie, which if you are, can I have your number?
Yes.
One person. Yeah, I'll get Woody Allen.
Shout out, the glass is cut. I don't know why you sound like that too. You should get that checked out.
He's making a Muppet film.
I had surgery. It's terrible. What am I doing? Something wrong with me.
We are committed to this bit.
He's gonna walk out going, that's not cool, man. It's kind of cool.
I'm burning all my BioShock toys.
Oh, you're like the pill.
What were you saying about being ADD?
I don't know. It's just like shiny. And I've got lights in my face too, like.
I don't even remember what you were going to say.
But Woody Allen, if you're in his movie, he doesn't give you the full script. He doesn't even give you the like on your sides. It will just have your lines. And his reasoning behind that is like, I want you to listen. And if you know your lines, I mean, it could literally your lines will be like, oh, that's interesting. Yes, 4 o'clock. Okay, we'll have to do that. And you have no idea what the other person is saying, so you really have to listen. So there was a lot of listening that had to take place, and it was such an interesting way that we were doing it because it was really like taking full performance capture, but only doing us with 2 mics. And Courtney and I, with the very few exceptions, were always like facing each other, and I was more isolated so that we could get, just for technical purposes. But we really were engaged with each other, and Ken was in there with us too. And anybody that can go, okay, this isn't working, what do we need to do? And look to his team and go, what would you do? What do you feel the Booker needs to say here? Well, Liz, what are you thinking? And that was our process. And that's a very unique, very beautiful thing that I think she and I both are incredibly grateful that we got to be a part of.
So then, Courtney, when you get pulled into this crazy structure, you meet Troy Baker, and then you have to stare at him all the time and talk to him. Do you guys hit it off immediately? Are you best friends, BFFs?
I think we did hit it off immediately.
We did.
We had struggles.
Well, it's just like anything else. When you get in the trenches,
It's just any relationship.
Any relationship, you're going to end up fighting. You're going to end up like disagreeing. You're going to end up like, ah. And we were talking about this last night when we were here. It's like, it's so crazy how, I mean, it's like brother, sister, this fraternal, platonic, this. Sometimes it's this, and sometimes it's like, hey, but sometimes it's like this. And we got to laugh about, the last 3 years of when we were pouring, I hate the peas on this, we were pouring so much into this that it's invariably, when you start pulling back, and exposing your soul, there's a cost to that. And I love the fact that we argued. I love the fact that we disagreed on things because A, we were so invested in it, and B, that meant that we were really being honest. Because if you have that friend that you never fought with, you guys aren't really friends. You know what I mean? Like, you want that friend that maybe you've thrown blows at each other, done punches.
Really recommend never throw blows at each other.
Right. You would whoop my.
I'm picturing it right now. No, I think we did have a really strong connection right off the bat, and we were both very passionate people and really interested in making the best game, and I think that's important to just hash those things out, and we can
use it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And look back and say, wow, like we were just talking at dinner and saying, man, like sometimes I look at me, I can't believe we ever like argue.
Right.
Yeah. Cut to like 10 minutes later, but.
So are those relationships hard to leave behind? Like I feel like, you guys go and you work on this thing in secret where you can't tell anybody about it, you can't tweet about it, you have this like private connection thing, you're working on these characters, fleshing out the story, you're doing all stuff and then it ends. And then it seems like, okay, now there's PR tours for Gamescom or this or MomoCon, but then it's...
It was devastating for me on the BioShock pod. I was sobbing like a baby. I remember my last recording session, and we were Skyping in, and I don't think you were there, but it was for the DLC, and I was just, they had flown in a gift for me. It was the Undertow collectible, and they had sent it to me from Boston to the studio that I was recording at, and I opened it in front of them, and I was like, just like bawling, and I was so devastated. I was so embarrassed. Yeah, it's devastating because you work on something and you have so much love in the project, and I don't know, it was one of those really magical experiences, and I really was afraid that I would never feel that much love for a project again. And yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's a beautiful thing when you experience that, but it's like a good relationship ending. You're like, man, I hope I can feel that again someday.
Yeah, I mean, you give your life over to something for so long, and you're in it for so long that it kind of becomes, there's a lot of your identity that goes into it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And there's also just so much energy that you find this void on the other side of it when it's so quiet that the silence is deafening. And you just long for, even when you're screaming and it's hard and or you're arguing or you're disagreeing with Ken or whatever, you miss that, you miss all of it. And then you realize that you didn't leave it all behind, it's still with you. We're still here.
Yeah.
It's still, the game is I'm still getting messages from people saying, I just platinumed it, I just finished it, I'm playing the DLC. It's something that we set out into the world, and it resonated within a culture, and that's not something that you can leave behind. It's gonna follow you.
So, Courtney, were you prepared for that? Like, I mean, like, Troy on the plane, his hair slicked back and a scarf on, probably. He's telling you about
it was February, he definitely had a scarf on.
He's telling you about the franchise, he's telling you about
Some people still look at flying as an event.
Were you prepared to see Elizabeth's comments and fan art and all this stuff?
I mean, I remember people telling me, like, this game, I didn't believe it. They were like, this game is going to be so big. And I just didn't know what that really meant, I guess. I mean, it's one of those things where people can tell you, this is going to happen, or this is what it feels like when you become a mother, or I don't know, whatever. This is what it feels like when you go to prom, and you're like, oh, okay, but you don't really know what that's going to be like. And I think we were also scared. I was really scared that what if Elizabeth doesn't work, and what if people don't fall in love with her, and you know, all those things. So, what just happened to Lex? You guys okay?
Now let's make love. I don't know if Elizabeth's gonna work.
Yeah, so I remember the first time, I just saw a group of huge BioShock group. I lost my mind. I saw them from above, like one of the floors above, and I looked down. Yeah.
Oh, these are the cosplay took.
Yes, the cosplay. And there was
come to a fashion show. Come walk by. Show everyone your wares.
Amazing. There's a little sister, and an Andrew Ryan, and a Big Daddy, and I think Motorized Patriot, and the Texas. It was amazing, and I just totally geeked out because every time I see someone dressing as someone from one of the BioShock games, I just still lose my mind. I had no idea that people are gonna love her so much, and it's so cool. I just really love it.
I remember seeing a husband and wife, it was weird, husband and wife, Booker and Elizabeth, and then they had a baby girl that was baby Liz. Oh. It was incredible, and she was like, we would love for you to hold. I was like, oh no. Do you remember how hard it was for me to let her go the first time?
Yes. And she lost a pinky.
But it was like great. It was like, yay! It was so great to, I mean, there's this difference between like, I really like that movie. And then people going, I'm going to go this far with it. And kind of like even teach their kids about it. You know, whenever we see, it's crazy because I still think I'm a kid. And I realize that I'm, oh my God, like when my dad was my age, I was like graduating high school, I think, pretty much. So it's like, and I'm like, I don't know how to do anything. But me and that guy have the same voice when I talk about it. Hey!
Literally, Trump Baker, the man of a million voices, only has one convoy.
Oh my God, they know.
The James Bond, yeah.
My But yeah, it's great to see that. I loved you being able to, especially when you were in Ireland and stuff like that. You get to see that it's not just like in pockets, but it's literally a global thing that people are really. This is something that they're really hip on, even before the game came out.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing, was seeing cosplayers, and I don't know, I think they were like PAX East or PAX West, and way before the game came out, like years. And people were just starting to see images of Liz and dressing up all over the world around like her. It was just crazy. Like, I remember telling them, but they don't even know what she's like, they could hate her. I'm like, we don't know.
I can't believe I wore this. All
the photos, burn all the costumes.
But yeah, it's pretty wild, man. I love it.
So, you're telling Courtnee all this. She doesn't believe it. You know. You've been in this video game business for a while. What was it like being on that side of it then? You already knew, number one, this is a franchise everybody loves. Number two, now I'm going to come in and be the main character, the main playable character, and I'm going to speak. That wasn't something we knew.
That was a huge challenge, and you know, Court felt that way about Elizabeth. She's like, oh my god, when people don't like her, I'm like, oh my god, they are gonna just, because that was one of the cool things about BioShock 1 is that he never spoke, and you had these wonderful speeches that were coming through Andy Ryan, and so we were really going to rock the boat with this. And there are, you know, I went on record a couple times saying, the first-person protagonist just doesn't speak, and that's not true. Clearly, we've had that in other games before, but for something that is this narrative-driven, that's going to have this much dialogue, like if you look, BioShock 1, the entire length of BioShock 1, the boardwalk portion of Infinite was bigger. And it was like, before they ever got on the airship, you would have been like, credits on BioShock 1. And that was insane. I'm like, oh my god. So she was like, I don't know if people are gonna like Liz. I'm like, they're gonna hate Liz. And it was really cool because Ken was aware of that as well. So he's like, okay, so let's make sure that if we ever say anything is purposeful, it's small. And it's not overbearing, like, I wonder if I should go over and check out what's in that trash can. Yeah. It's a banana. Whenever Booker spoke, it was always, it should have been something that reflected what the player was thinking. You pick up, like, you know, Bronco, Buckin' Boom. I can't even talk. Take two. Buckin' Bronco. That'll come in handy. That's it. Shut up. And they go, never like, this is what I'm thinking. Just walking along. Warm day. We didn't want to do anything like that, so.
I think it was really important to just make sure that we weren't forcing anything upon the gamer, and just make sure that like everything you guys were feeling as you were playing the game, we just didn't want to force emotions, and we wanted everything to feel organic and
We just forced the ending, right?
But yeah, so I think even with Liz too, I remember we were always cutting her lines down as much as we could to just make sure that I don't know, it was just short and concise and to the point, and you guys could really just be filling in the gaps as you wanted and having your own experience, so that every gamer that played the game could have a different experience and feel like they were making all these choices and decisions, and that was something that was really important for us to keep in mind.
I think most lines started this long, and then they ended up becoming like just a breath, just something that, you know, can you encapsulate, this is what I'm thinking, or this is what the intention is with. Like, that's cool. When you can do that, that's really flexing some acting muscles, and that's not being a good voice actor. That's just an actor. That's being able to concisely convey a thought, and it's a real big challenge. I'm glad that Ken was open to stuff like that.
You both talked about, you know, concerns of, oh, I hope people like my character, blah, 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 like you understood where Ken was going. In all that time, we made the jokes about the delays and everything else in this genre process. Did either of you worry that this project was off track and it wasn't going to hit the point? And like, you know, I'm talking like just gameplay mechanics, storyline, this is too confusing. Lutece twins, who would believe this?
Yeah, I mean, Lutece was originally one character. It was never going to be the twins, and I think it was a really, really smart move that Ken made to go, wait a minute, I wanted it to be David Bowie. I'm not gonna lie, I was like Jared the Goblin King. I mean, David Bowie. Clearly, we would have to record together. And you come out like this, and it'd be amazing. But then, what I love is that, you know, that's me having an idiot idea and Ken being able to look past that and say, this is what the game needs. And it had to go through like this rocky process of, oh my God, I don't know what we're doing. This game is going to be terrible. We're never going to ship it. Wait a minute, what if we did this? This could actually work. Oh my God, this is great. This is what it should have been the entire time. Okay, we're back on track. Pretty much that was the assembly line of it. It was, the wheels are falling off. What are we doing with our lives? And, okay, get back inside. Don't jump from the 5th floor, you know, stuff like that. And then you go, oh, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The game doesn't make itself, but there's a quote that I saw recently, I don't know who it was from. It's like, a delayed game will eventually be good. A bad game, or a rushed game, will be bad forever. And it's like, well, I don't care how long it's going to take. Like, but it should have been out in October. Well, you know what? The difference between October and whenever it actually comes out, you can live life and you can be okay. And then it comes out, and then people are still going to eviscerate it and still say, well, it didn't live up to expectations. Shut up. It's amazing. Anything that comes out is amazing. It is ones and zeros that are translated into Jesus particles. It's amazing. It's incredible. Graphics are great. Shut up.
You have a Futures PR for The Last Guardian if you ever want.
I remember when they made their first E3 announcement. And I'm excited it's going to be on the PS20. That's that guy in 40 years.
Again, just let him go! Just let him go! Courtney, I guess as big as a big deal as this Troy Baker is, BioShock is really your game. It's really a visited story, especially with the DLC coming together to complete that package. How many notebooks did it take of just madman scribbling for you to understand the story and who you were at any given moment?
I thought he was talking about the Ryan movie, the Notebook.
That's a dynamite film that I won't talk about anymore.
No, I remember when we first heard that ending, and we were getting bits and pieces, and Ken never said this is the direction. I don't even know if he knew where he was going. So every time we would go out to Boston, we would say, like, give me another secret. He would take us aside.
Tell you stuff he would tell me too.
Because I would love the shit out of it. Like, give me more. And yeah, so we would always like give little tidbits of information, and that's kind of how we figured out who our characters were. And it wasn't until I played through the game that I really saw, oh, that all this stuff made it, and some stuff got cut, and this is how she came together in the end. Because it's also about like the girl who was doing the mocap for her, and all of her facial expressions, and all of that coming together that adds all these little layered nuances and creates the character. And the first time we heard the ending, I remember like looking at Troy, and then looking at Ken, and then looking at Troy, and we were like, what? Like, what would happen? And it's something that connects in my mind, but it's something that I still can't articulate that well to other people, because it's such a mind expletive person.
Animaniacs were cursing like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, so I don't know, it's pretty crazy. I mean, just piecing all the story together, and when he told us how the second DLC was going to end, my mind was so blown. And I was like, that is so awesome to piece everything together, and I don't know, to have Elizabeth be the character that like kicks off everything that happens in BioShock is really amazing. It's such an honor to be able to play her.
Well, it was something as a fanboy, I greatly appreciated, because it's sometimes, especially as we were doing it, I was like, but it's not, I wanted to bring it back to BioShock, because it feels like such a different game. Yeah, we have, plasmas and figures, and yeah, we have, different things that make it a BioShock game, but I wanted the creepiness, and I wanted to know about Rapture. I wanted to know what happened, and I love the dichotomy of it. Like, one is under the sea, this is in the sky, and then like how it was polar opposites, and how that was implemented so well in the game between the bird in the cage or out of the cage. Just how everything has a duality in nature. But when I heard the DLC, I was like, people are going to lose their minds because this is the tangible connective tissue that bridges these two universes together, and how wonderfully that was done. And it was smaller, which means that it was more easily executable, which means you could really do what you wanted to do with it. And if you haven't played the DLC yet, it is so good. It's so good. It's so creepy. Has anybody read the book, the BioShock book? Dude, that whole like Philip K. Dick, super noir story that it has, if you can either read the book and then, if you haven't read the book, or then play the DLC or vice versa, and it's just kind of cool to see because the two really align a lot. But anyway, yeah, it's great. You'll never have any time before.
I don't know if the cosplayers ever came. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I want to make sure we're going to have plenty of time for questions. So I want to start. There's a microphone somewhere in the audience, somewhere standing.
I have one question.
Start lining up here, I guess. I think I see movement of the security team. Oh, there comes the microphone! God, this is real now.
What's great is literally everybody beyond the first row could have left halfway through and we would not have known because we're staring at into a black
hole. You look up like, oh no, everybody's gone.
Thanks so much for everybody being here. It's like 6 people. Hey!
So here's a question for both of you. Not all about BioShock, right? More about Ken Irrational Games. When you, the whole reason that people look forward to BioShock, and I think the reason everybody loves Ken so much, right, is the fact that he tells these stories, right? He's right? Turn you on your ear at the end, they recently, restructured Irrational. Ken put out this statement about, we're going to try to make these smaller games and more narrative focused. Did that surprise you, or was that, on the outside, only knowing Ken and all this other stuff, I was like, that makes sense, right? Like BioShock, if it was this game that took a long time to get out and tell the story, but if you can get together with a smaller team, make smaller games, it makes sense.
I had no idea what was happening. I was definitely, I knew from the same letter that was on the website like everyone else. So that was definitely surprising to me. But I think that the biggest thing that I know about Ken is he's a genius, and I have to trust him. Not have to trust him, I trust him in everything that he does. And I think he knows what he's doing, and he has a very, very strong vision, and he has a passion for games and a passion for driving games forward, and he doesn't want to do the same game again. That's why he took all these risks with Infinite, because he wanted something different. And I know there was backlash about, well, it's in the sky, and it's not going to be the same game, but that was the whole point. He didn't want to make the same game, he wanted to push boundaries, and I think that I trust that whatever he's doing is going to be fantastic, because his mind is terrifyingly creative, and I just think he's one of the bravest people I've ever met. To just keep pushing forward, even when people were saying, this isn't going to work, Liz isn't going to work, the narrative's not going to work, Booker's not going to work, whatever it was, and he just kept pushing people forward. Trust me, and he made it a fantastic game. So I think whatever he does is going to be really amazing, and I really hope he follows me in.
Well, I will say this in response to that. My first response was, what? And then it was like, well, it kind of makes sense. Because people forget that BioShock Infinite wasn't Ken Levine's first game. BioShock 1 wasn't Ken Levine's first game. I don't know how many people in this room have done the same thing for 20 years and have gone through that process over and over and over again. And understand this, we're very critical about the games that come out. We want it to be, like I've always said, Jesus backflipping over ninjas. It's not amazing, and the DualShock better work just right, but it is a machine that can chew you up and spit you out. And it's really interesting that people like Steven Soderbergh, who have made countless movies and really successful movies, are like, I'm done with film. I'm gonna go do theater. I wanna do that now. Because I forgot what I originally fell in love with making. And I think that this isn't a retreat from Ken. This is what I think. I don't know. I know that BioShock cost him a lot. Not money, but really currency. It cost him. And so I don't think this is a retreat as much as it is a vision quest. Him going back out in the wilderness to like rediscover his love for making games. And sometimes that means going back to the start and making it a smaller shift where you are the designer and the writer and the coder and the programmer and doing the environments, doing everything, having a small team around you. Go, remember when we did this and it was fun? So maybe that's what it is. But I agree with Courtnee. I mean, he's not an idiot, and he loves making games. As much as we love games, all combined in this room, that would be a drop in the bucket how much Ken loves games. So yeah, I really hope that we do see something from him quickly. Or if it's still A, that doesn't mean that's good.
You'll get out there and stuff for him too. Yeah, you guess the way. All right, crowd, let's go. It seems like only a few million people lined up. You want to start the house? There they go.
No, I wanted to.
Now we get to
I thought they were over there. We're like, go ahead and ask your question.
Please.
Yes, thank you. In the course of making BioShock Infinite, of course, you ended up cutting enough content to make like 3 or 4 separate games. So I have to ask, despite being fed only little bits and pieces, is there anything that you were so... What was the worst thing that cut out? Unless it's covered by an NDA, in which case I have to wonder if you...
Yes, covered by NDA, we can't talk about it.
We're all friends here. We can turn off the camera for a second.
I wish that the reason why there were so many levels that ended up getting cut, but there were. I wish the explanation of why Columbia was in the sky was it was originally supposed to be a way bigger part of. It wasn't supposed to be just like a box of foam that you found. It was supposed to be like really big, and how that came through. And I wish that would have been more clear because I think it was just such an ingenious conceit that it was because it was continually going back in time to the second that it wasn't falling. Does anybody get that? Does anybody understand that? If you like went around, you could parse that information out. I don't know about like big things that were cut. There's a lot of stuff with Lady Comstock that got cut.
Yeah. I can't even remember because it was just in one ear and out the other, and I didn't even realize what I missed when I played the game because there were so many ideas over such a large span of time that I'm still trying to piece it together. I guess I can't really remember anything.
There's nothing specific that stands out, which I think is something that's a true testament, because if we're not missing it, then maybe it wasn't supposed to be there at the beginning. You know, there's never anything that's like, oh, this would have been the best level ever.
Or anything.
It was true fact that got trimmed away. That's a great question.
Thank you.
Sure. Next. Now serving number 2.
Yeah, how about the
6 people got that.
It's like you're at a Dilly counter.
Yeah. That's 5, 7, whichever one wouldn't go down.
Alright, so I had a question about this glitch that I encountered in the BioShock Infinite DLC. And I'm asking you guys and not the programmers, is it had to do with the voice acting. It lowered the pitch of Elizabeth's voice and then Booker's voice to almost like a deep, like really deep voice. And like, and I have to watch the video, but I don't know. I just wondering like how. During the lock picking thing, like when Elizabeth was like, boy, don't do this. And Booker's like, that seemed to work. Like, I don't know, it's just really low pitch. Like, do you have any idea how that could have happened?
No idea.
You guys didn't record it that way, I'm guessing. Okay.
It was a choice.
Actually, I think we were recording that we were playing puberty in those. We're like, whoops, well, there's that staying in.
And then I have one more question about Elizabeth, like, in the DLC, no spoilers, but like, she has this moment where she's like, I really miss you, Booker. And I don't know, I wanted you to like maybe go into that a little bit more, like what that meant for you.
Yeah, at first I didn't understand because she was so vengeful in the second one, and he used to hurt her so much and betrayed her, and I didn't understand that, why she would feel so connected. And then the more I thought about it, I realized, oh, it's just human nature, right? I mean, especially with spoiler alert.
It's just one person in the back.
I know we're gonna hear it. You know, especially with their parents. It's like, no matter how much, I don't know, you have issues with your parents, and some people have pretty trying relationships, and at the end they're still your parents, and like no matter how much you hate them sometimes, and they hurt you, when they're not there, there's a piece of you that's missing. And I think that's what my interpretation of why she says that is, because it was still family, and it was the closest human connection that she's ever had. So yeah, I think that's what I ultimately kind of made the choice for her. But I guess it's open to interpretation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, hi. Normally I would wait for your autograph session, but because of what this is, would the two of you please sign my skyhook?
Sky.
We can't do it here. You want these people to riot? I want you to sign my...
Can we please say that for the autograph session? I'm so sorry, we have to do that. We can't do that for everybody else. We'll make sure you get taken care of, though. Promise, promise.
You'll get taken care of, all right.
I'm just saying, God forbid, bad things happen. You know, there's a problem with the brakes. No, I'm gonna fix that because I really appreciate you have that skyhook, and I would be honored to sign that. Yeah, let's make sure that she gets taken care of.
Oh, we got a thumbs up from the handler on the side. You take care of. Don't worry.
There you go. Get the thumbs up.
Hey, first I want to say something. You did an excellent job with Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Loved her the whole time, except
Except when?
And I think we all relate. You walk into a
Now I'm getting involved.
When you walk into a room, you know, like normal, I'm looking for pineapples and cactus.
As one does.
You turn around to see what Elizabeth is doing in that room, and then you see the horrifying view of her standing in the doorway, and you realize, I'm going to die in this room. There's no way to get out of it. Yeah, overall, she was amazing, just besides that. But my question was, since you guys are so close to, the development and everything, do you guys know anything about the songs that were played in Columbia, like all the remakes and all the reviews?
Like the barbershop or something like that?
They never got released or anything, so...
I thought they did release the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack, that was the soundtrack.
Right.
Download.
But that was, are you saying this, because I honestly didn't do it, was it just the score, or were those songs on there? My guess would be licensing.
Yeah, probably.
Just a separate
Get the rights to sell it.
Not that I would ever condone not giving 2K money and stuff.
Not even 2K, but it's like, you'd be giving money like Ryan Wilson.
Sure. I mean, there are various services on the interweb. Find those MP3s at quite. Not that I'm saying do that. Also, don't trade in your games. Find new co-developers.
Sarcasm, really.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Thank you.
Speaking off that though, those songs were awesome.
They were fantastic. God Only Knows is one of my favorite songs. It's just like, to hear it that way.
It just gave so much life to the city when you're wandering around and you're exploring, and it just it just added such a deep level of character. I love that.
For me, I mean, whenever you play a BioShock game or a Ken game, right, you always have that usual suspects moment where you drop the coffee cup and you're like, holy shit. And that was the thing, right, of like, when those songs started coming out, I was like, that's weird, that wasn't even made yet, how would they know that? But you didn't like go into, well, she's opening tears, they're talking through tears, and that's why plasmids are just like, it was good. It was good. Excellent.
Hi, I was wondering, going into this, you knew it was going to be a very great game, but you were worried about your characters. At what point during the process of making the game did you go, this game is going to blow people's minds?
When I played it on the day that it came out, that's the moment. Honestly, I remember the midnight launch, I was like, I bought my own copy because I didn't want to wait for them to send it, and I played it. And that it was the moment, because the thing is, the whole point is to make an amazing, incredible experience for the gamer. And you don't know what that's going to be like until you're the gamer sitting down and playing the game. And that was the moment that I really was like, yeah, it came together and it worked. And for me anyway, I'm sure minds out there will differ. I'll kill you.
Yeah, I mean, everything is hypothetical up to the point that it's actually practical. you know, to actually sitting down and playing it. I knew that Ken knew how to make a game. I knew that the team that he had of writers and the designers and everybody that was involved were bleeding for this game. And the conceit was so good, and the history was so good that you question. I was like, are we going to be able to, I know the game that we could make is going to be phenomenal. Are we going to be able to, can we just get to that point? And, you know, and it was yes, but it's just, I mean, you constantly doubt, can we climb that mountain, because that's where we have to go. But she's right, and the proof is in the pudding. When we started playing it, and all the reviews started coming in, not just from, you know, people like, you know,
IGN.com for all your reviews.
But it was coming from people boots on the ground that are actually playing it, going, I'm crying. This is amazing. What a great, my mind's blown.
Just the response on Twitter alone.
Yeah.
I didn't join Twitter until the midnight launch, actually, because people were like, you're crazy, you need Twitter, and I could see that connection with fans and people saying just the visceral reactions and just people being so vulnerable and open about how the emotional reaction that they had when they were playing the game. And it's just so cool, man, because you just hope when you're creating art that you're creating something that connects with people. To have it connect on such a deep, deep level, it's like the best thing you could ask for. It's so wonderful. That's why I like doing cons and you know, interacting with fans on Twitter, because we made the game for you guys. And it's really cool that it was something to be really proud of, and that worked. Right.
I'm the Shadow of the Colossus guy.
Yeah! Let me speak to you in our own language.
Hey! Oh, how are you doing? Well, Ms. Draper can tell you what's coming. Yeah, I already made this request of her and the previous women in voice acting panel. It's nothing dirty. Get your mind out of the gutter right now.
Genuinely afraid right now.
He's got to get through Courtney first.
I already did, I did
So, my friend Meg, she is starting college in... Okay, seriously, can I stop talking like this, please?
Yes.
Okay. But she is starting college once the summer is over. She's majoring in biology, and I promised her that I would make a montage of different voice actors pushing her luck.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're gonna need a montage! Meg is her name?
Yes, she is.
Good luck, Meg!
Thank you so much. Actually, I do have one question. How does Travis Willingham keep track of your Twitter account?
Dude, there's some, you become a man when you get willing blam. Billy Harper got him though. Did you see that? If you look at Travis Willingham, yeah, got his Just Desserts. A little bit of Twitter fun. Yeah, if you follow me on Twitter or whatever, and if Travis and I are ever working together, I'm an idiot, and every time I leave my phone or my iPad unsupervised, and Travis happens into it, and you will have about 30 minutes of pure joy, because that's how long it takes for me to realize what he's done. It's terrible. It's terrible. Terrible.
Terrible.
At Willingham.
Here's to a long and prosperous career for both of you.
Hey, thanks, man.
Cheers. Oh, don't applaud.
What did he do to Billy Harper?
Billy Harper just got him. He got to an embarrassing tweet rant. 3 or 4 before Travis figured it out. It was great. I'm not gonna tell you how Billy Harper gained access to Travis's phone.
Everybody knows Billy Harper worked on Infamous Second Son.
Yes, talk about Travis. Troy with him. That took much pride. Here. Hi, cat ears. Not to you. Not to me. They're whatever I want them to be. They're really cool.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for being a part of BioShock Infinite, just breathing life into characters. You made Booker. I feel like Courtnee really knows who she is, and I just them together.
Thank you.
And secondly, obviously, you know, this work with BioShock took on a lot of disciplines, BioShock took a lot of disciplines, and you know, it was just a crazy thing the whole entire time. Do you think that, like, if you were the mind behind it, like, is there anything that you could really?
I wouldn't even give myself the pat on the back to be able to think of anything. I mean, I feel like the game is exactly what it should have been. You know?
Yeah, you ever see that episode of I Love Lucy when they're working in the cake factory? That's what it would have looked like had I any influence in that at all. I don't know.
Troy, don't eat the computer.
It's broken. Yeah, there's nothing that I would have changed. Yeah, I think what we put out was the game that we, of course, you know, there's things that just you can't do yet.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't want to change anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I actually have 2 questions.
Oh God, here we go.
And I'm also going to spoil the end for that one guy.
Yeah. Oh. Good for you. You're a good man.
Alright, so we all know at the end that Booker decides that he's not going to be Booker the bookstore Elizabeth. What? Or the Booker that...
This panel is full!
Or the Booker that discovers Columbia. He chooses to not give up Elizabeth at all, therefore Elizabeth being Anna. So, with Booker now having Anna as his daughter, that is Elizabeth like a type of god because she still exists while all the other alternate dimensional Elizabeths disappear at the end.
Well,
Because there's nothing.
I was going to say, I think it's interesting that you refer to her as like a deity or whatever, because that whole line about, are you afraid of God? No, but I am afraid of you. I thought that was a cool line. What do you think?
I mean, I kind of just interpret it as, I don't think she's a god per se. I just saw it as one Comstock that escaped. And that's the reason there's a version of Elizabeth that still exists. And yeah, I mean, that's how I interpreted it. But
I mean, you have, and in some ways you have omnipotence, you have omniscience, omnipresence. You can look at things fourth dimensionally. You know the beginning, the end, and the middle.
yeah, I guess I never thought of her that way.
I feel like a demigod. Like,
Yeah, I mean, now I'm gonna do God,
just
like, let's do it. I don't really get that. What kind of shit is that?
I don't know how to read. Just joke aside, I don't know how to read.
No, I don't know. I guess I never thought of it that way. I've never been asked that before.
I can't wait to see.
I know, that's embarrassing on that.
And I can't wait to see what his second question is. We're
Oh,
having
yeah.
a theological debate about
Now
it.
that you stumped us.
The other question is actually for Troy.
Oh God.
Oh, good. These questions are hard.
So, my question is, what do you think ever happened to Booker's wife? Did she die? Did she run away because he was drunk and a gambler?
Yeah, we went through this a little bit, and again, it kind of goes back to a little bit of the backstory, masturbatory thing. Like, does it really matter? I would think that my original thing was, well, this is important that we nail this down because I need to know that would be a monumental moment in your life. And Ken said, well, which do you think is more important? The fact that he lost his wife and he lost his daughter, which is more an interesting character choice. I was like, oh. So it really kind of fell away as far as what the reason why. All we know is that it's like a chapter of his life that we still talk about kind of thing. It happened, that's where it is, and that's where it stays. But I think it is an interesting thing for you guys to explore, like for the player to explore, is go, I wonder why. I'm some of the fan fiction. I'm really excited to see, you know what I mean? because again, it's the same thing with BioShock. That's why I think Star Wars is one of the greatest franchises ever, is because it afforded itself so much in extrapolation. There's so much that has grown because of it. I think that BioShock is equally as good in the sense that you could really just obsess over one specific detail and be able to have a plethora of media outlets for that, whether it be a graphic novel or another game or a movie or a show, whatever. But I think that's the true testament to telling a good story. So I don't know, I'd be curious to see like your perspective on that as far as what happened to his brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a really smart guy.
A
little too smart.
Hey.
Hey.
What's up? Chillin'.
I got a quick request and then a quick question. The line you said, the one you're like, are you afraid of God? No, I'm afraid of you. Could you do that real quick on my screen?
Sure.
Booker, are you afraid of God?
Oh.
He's only got 15 seconds.
All right, ready for it.
I was acting, okay?
You should do this in less than 6 seconds too, because Vi just freaks out if you don't.
Booker, are you afraid of God?
Yep. That was an alternate version.
Yeah.
All right, what's your question?
All right, and for a long time, well, not really for a long time, but there have been rumors running around. If they were to make a BioShock movie, who would you want directing it?
Oh.
Oh, I can tell you my casting choices. Courtnee Draper's in it.
I'd really have to look at that. I mean, Fincher would be great. Somebody like that to really understand like the ethos of it, you know? Huh?
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
What?
It has twists. Of course I could direct. Yeah, that would be the ending of humanity. And watch, it's gonna come out in Variety or Hollywood Reporter tomorrow. M. Night Shyamalan attempts to BioShock movie. It's like, no joking, don't go off. I don't know who would want to direct. Fincher would be good. I don't know, man. I don't know. He's kind of burned me on that last one a little bit. I mean, he could do the big epic thing clearly with Noah, but woof, did not like that movie at all. Sorry.
Noah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Noah. Hang on.
So yeah, sorry Noah. We were walking out and a friend of mine goes, it should have been Noah, it should have been no. I don't know. I really have to think about that. Or like Roland Emmerich would be cool too, just for the scope of it.
3 words. Michael fucking Bay.
Hope TMNT isn't that bad.
10 seconds into the movie, everything would just start exploding.
Elizabeth, do you have a question?
I never thought about it. I think he's really good. I think he's doing really just really interesting visually.
Coen Brothers. That would be cool. That would be cool.
Oh, Big Daddy, where art thou? Yeah, we are on our final thoughts, so try to go speed run.
Hi, my question is specifically for Troy Baker.
Okay.
So,
Did that other guy send you up?
So what's experience like being from Booker in BioShock rather than to be, oh, I don't know, Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 5?
Everything is different, man. You have to look at it that way. You can't say, oh, I'm going to do the exact same thing for this as I did in this, otherwise you just fall into this formula, and how soulless is that, right?
Right.
Fortunately, I was able to do BioShock, which was such a growing experience and learning experience for me that it gave me more tools, I think, to go in and do something like MGS, because tackling a role like that is huge. You know, you're not building a character from the ground up, because clearly Ocelot's been in, oh, I don't know, a few games. but it was great to be able to again bring it back and scale everything down because it's not the same Ocelot that we've seen in other games. So understanding the simplicity that can still come across as complex. I don't know, I'm really getting into it, but no, it's just two totally different experiences, and that's how I look at it. I'm jazzed for that game. It's gonna be really good. Huge, it's a huge game, like scope, it's huge. Yeah. You're pretty good.
Just want to say, BioShock Infinite, I just want to thank you for making the game because it helped me through a really hard part of my life. I didn't have internet for a week. Thank God for online. So,
you're a brave soldier.
It's a lot, Troy. So,
you're the final question, so make it good and short.
Give me just a minute.
Sorry.
During the production of the game, there's videos of you and Ken Levine yelling at Courtney to create an emotional response. Could you tell us about that?
You just did.
Can you give us more details about that?
I mean, that was something that a lot of actors do. You know, we improv, like what he was saying about the backstory, and you kind of just lead into this scene. And I mean, we had just gone off a flight. I was sick. I was so emotionally exhausted from screaming and crying for 4 hours already. And yeah, I mean, I guess we didn't realize I didn't realize that people would think it was so strange. So that's just what actors do.
Oh God, it's the most awkward thing to watch because again, the size of the booth that we were in, we were closer than this. It wasn't like a big booth at all. So it was you're already on the spot because you haven't gotten the gig yet. You don't know.
Yeah, that was my callback. So I was not cast yet.
So she's really under the gun, and it was. In some ways, a lot of the anger that you see is like, I'm mad at the situation too. I'm like mad at Ken. And there's one point in the video, if you watch, I tell Ken to shut up. Because he starts yelling at her, like, shut up! And I go into her.
This, you know.
She's got this, shut up. But yeah, to me, that whole situation is a test of, or a testament to Courtney's willingness and ability to just literally get beat up and come out sweating. Literally, we all did. It was very warm in there, and not back down to a challenge and be up to it. And it's great. I think that actually that's the one that was in the game, which was pretty interesting. So sometimes you just go back to the original. But yeah, it was. That set the pace and the tone for what we're going to do, which could be screaming at each other a lot for the next 3 years.
Oh, and could you do your reaction when you found out that your character was actually Comstock?
Oh my God!